Do you have a website?
Are you exposing your customers' personal information?
Are you unintentionally violating privacy laws and even your own privacy policy?
Don't wait for a hack or an expensive data breach to catch you off guard.
Get Locker and make your site safe and compliant.
Companies that care about their customers use Locker on their sites to protect their customers and block data thieves.
Locker gives website owners an easy, no-code solution that can be up and running across their site in minutes.
Visit locker.com for details. That's LOKKER.com.
So it sounds like the source code for Grand Theft Auto got stolen, somewhat appropriately.
I don't know anything about Grand Theft Auto, but that probably means it's a big story.
Indeed.
I'm in the same camp. I am not a gamer. Adam, I know you don't play this game. You just said you didn't. Travis?
What's the story, Travis?
It's one of the biggest franchises right now in video games, and there's a new one that's supposed to be coming out fairly soon called Grand Theft Auto 6. And it sounds like, the company got compromised through pretty conventional means. It sounds like it may have been just social engineering. But what they did was they stole all the source code for this upcoming game release, and they've been releasing little bits of it piecemeal to kind of not just extort the company, but to spoil the game for folks who are looking forward to it.
Remember when there was a production company that got compromised and they were leaking parts of Orange and the New Black, and I think they even threatened to leak some of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's the same thing? I mean, so is that what I'm missing in the gaming world? It's just another TV show or movie that you get to play a part in, kind of?
Kind of. I think one of the main things is that a lot of the technologies behind these games are something that they spend a lot of time developing in-house. And so if that source code gets released into the wild, that means that other people can take a look at it, maybe steal it, maybe leak it, maybe sell it to a competitor.
But this isn't the days of like when, something came out here, it would come out simultaneously in a country with laxer IP laws. Is it? People aren't going to pirate it.
They're probably not going to pirate it because it isn't completed. I think the damage is a lot more public relations based.
So in other words, they're not trying to extort money to stop the flow?
It sounds like they actually are. The hackers responsible there are trying to extort money from it. I think one of the main things about it is it's more of just the loss of intellectual property and having something that they wanted to be able to do some huge announcement about and all that, and kind of get people excited to buy the game on the basis of things that people don't really know about it. So if it's sort of just saying, like, we're going to spoil your game for you.
Could it have been a competitor?
I'd be surprised, actually.
Yeah, come on. This isn't the 70s, Adam.
There was there's another studio that lost the source code, or at least had the source code compromised for a game called The Witcher. Mm-hmm. And it was a similar thing where people just went online and said that they were going to sell it to the highest bidder.
This is another object lesson in why entertainment companies in particular have to get their cyber game face on and get everything going the right way.
Yeah, because if they don't, their stuff is going to be in the wind and they're not going to be as entertaining. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking forward to the game. I don't know if I can play it with kids in the house, unfortunately, because they tend to be pretty violent, but,
The kids tend to be violent?
Well, I mean, yes, that's why I try to keep them away from violent games.
Welcome to What the Hack, a show about hackers, scammers, and the people they go after. I'm Adam, a cyber non-gamer.
I'm Bo, cyber tattoo on the inside of your thigh.
And I'm Travis, and I'm cyber trying not to picture a tattoo on the inside of Bo's thigh.
I'm with you on that, buddy. Today we're talking to lifehacker, travel expert, and host of the podcast, All the Hacks. Please welcome Chris Hutchins. Blockchain, NFTs, AI. What does this mean for you and me?
If you're looking for the best answer, check out TED Tech, the podcast that brings you the latest innovations and biggest ideas in tech.
Tech is evolving fast, from the metaverse to the watches on our wrists, and you'll hear about it all in the TED Tech podcast.
Like why people in AI make good business partners.
The future of self-driving robotaxis.
And what the next generations of Siri, Alexa, and Google might look and sound like.
Find TED Tech wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by ADT. It's time for the greatest mystery of all. Who keeps knocking the planters over on your front porch? Because you have ADT and their smart home security systems with Google Nest, the answer's pretty easy to figure out. The Google Nest doorbell lets you know what's happening at your front door from virtually anywhere. And the perp? Turns out it's the neighborhood stray cat. Help protect what matters most with all the smart devices you need, plus 24/7 professional monitoring from ADT and a little help from Google. To see how ADT can help make your home smarter and safer, visit ADT.com.
So, Chris, where are you coming to us from right now?
I am in the Bay Area in California.
Keep it vague.
The Bay Area.
What do you want? You want my address?
Yeah, phone number, social security number.
Drop a pin to us if you would too. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Names of your pets.
And also, while you're at it, send me the codes for a couple gift cards.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you could ship some frequent flyer miles in our direction, that'd be great. But anyway, so like you're a life hacker, which is fascinating stuff. Now, is this something you share with your wife, or is this your own thing, or was it her thing that became your thing? Or
I think I've brought her over to the dark side since we started. At the beginning, she's like, "You're a little crazy," and then I think we took one vacation. It was free, and she was like, "Oh, like there's a way to take a free vacation. What else can we do if we save money and take advantage of these crazy things?" And now she's the one.
Now, hold on.
Yeah.
You took a free vacation?
Yeah, lots of free vacations.
dude,
What?
I don't understand what are paid vacations. What are paid vacations?
I don't even believe you. So, all right, what are we talking about? Did you just go like next door to your neighbor's house and take care of their cat?
No. We've done them all over. We just went last year or this year. I'm lose track of time because we have two kids. We went to Bora Bora. That was a good one.
Free?
Well,
Free?
there's a little opportunity cost. So instead of earning cash back, I'm earning points and then using the points to take a free vacation and maybe paying like, $5.60 in taxes and fees on each flight.
Okay, so this is our brand new friend. Yes, we love it.
when you do it based on points, it's actually better than dollars, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think in the best possible redemptions I've ever had, our honeymoon, we went to the Seychelles and we got our points to be worth about 10 cents a point. And if you're really optimizing, right? If you're using the right cards in the right order when you're buying the right thing, you can probably get 2 to 4 points per dollar. So maybe if you're getting 10 cents and 3 points per dollar, it's like getting 30% cash back, which, the best cash back card is like 2%.
Oh, yeah.
So
now you can use these points to get a hotel too?
yeah, so we used them to stay at the St. Regis in Bora Bora,
Wow.
which I would highly recommend. Got that overwater bungalow.
I feel like we're in the wrong industry here. Yeah.
So you're a life hacker, and what does a life hacker do when they're not getting free vacations?
Yeah, so for some reason, every time I approach something, I'm like, there has to be a better way to do this. And the advice anyone gives me, I just assume is maybe not correct. It's not that I think people are all wrong. It's just I want to validate it myself. And so, when I was starting a podcast, it was like, let's go figure out everything there is to learn and go as deep as possible. But it happens everywhere. We first had 2 kids and well, we didn't have them at the same time. But now we have 2 kids and we're like, we don't have the time to cook. So I just thought, okay, maybe I'll post something on Craigslist and find someone that lives nearby that wants to cook in their kitchen and bring us food. And it turns out that if you're not hiring a professional service, it's really inexpensive. So I don't know. It really spans across every area of my life, just trying to find the way to optimize your money, your travel, your life, your happiness, your career. It doesn't really matter what it is. I just want to figure out a better way.
What is the most curious life hack you ever did? When you look back on it, you go, how the heck did I do that?
So, like we talked about, points are super valuable. So how do you get more points? So if you've ever stayed at a hotel, this is one of my favorites. And they say, hey, if you don't want housekeeping, you can get a few extra points per night if you decline the housekeeping. But I also would like, to have a clean room. So every time I travel, I just get 2 queen beds so that I sleep on one for 2 nights. And then I switch to the other one the next 2 nights. So I'm still getting the clean bed, but I'm also getting the points.
That is a hack.
That is a hack.
That's a heck of a lot. I'm telling you. I like it.
I did something a little different recently at a hotel, which was surprising to me, but there actually was a ring around the tub when I checked in. And rather than report it, I in the morning said, by the way, I really wanted a bath last night, and there was a ringer on the tub, and I don't want to bother you. I took a video. I could just send it to the Ramada if you want. And they were like, no.
No, we'd like to set you up in the presidential suite, sir.
It's a little.
That's more blackmail than a hack, I think. But yeah.
It was a little different. Like I actually felt like it wasn't a life hack. It was more of a hack, like a criminal hack. But they did give me the room for half off.
Well, yeah, but if you report it in advance, they're going to transfer you to some other room, and you got to pack your bag, and then it becomes an inconvenience.
Which is why I didn't do that. Yeah, that's why.
Now, if you want to take a bath, it's you might have to do that. But I'm a big fan of if something's wrong. I don't like to try to just be a horrible person, but it's like, look, this thing's broken. I paid for it. Like,
you want to talk about?
Please fix it.
No, that's how I did it. I was nice about it. I was horrible on the financial front. I was like, but I feel like there should be some consideration here. Points. Had I known about the point angle, I would have been like, or you could just give me 20,000 points.
That happened to me when I was just graduated college. I stayed at the W Hotel in New York. And the bed, I was like, this is the most uncomfortable bed ever. But you don't really find that out until you go to bed. And when you're about to go to bed, you're like, the last thing I want to do is march down to the lobby and be like, hey. So the next morning they were like, I don't know, our beds, we have these heavenly beds. They're all great. And I made the person come and lie on the bed. And they were like, something is broken with this bed. They're like, this is not correct. And they gave me enough points. And it was like a work stay, and they gave me enough points that I could stay basically like in any Starwood hotel in the world for a night. And I was like, I felt like I'd won the lottery.
That was a good one. That put you in the hell bed as opposed to heaven bed. That's for sure.
I got one that you guys will like. It's a little technical. You're trying to book a house, right? You're going to Mexico with your family, and you find this villa that you can rent on Airbnb. But Airbnb now, gosh, like $500 cleaning fee, service fee, like it's expensive. So you take the picture that you think most represents the property, save it to your computer, go to Google image search and do a reverse image search for the picture. And I wouldn't say this works all the time in the US, but internationally, there's like 3 or 4 sites that rent homes, and almost all of them have less fees than Airbnb. And some of them are directly from the property owner. And so you can actually reverse image search and you're able to find the exact place to rent from somewhere else. And I've had people save 20, 30% just doing that.
Doesn't that open you up to scams, though?
By what? Why would? Oh, if you booked direct with them, maybe you're booking from not the real owner, you mean? And as opposed to you don't get the Airbnb, you don't get the Airbnb protections.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those sites might. Yes, in the case, sometimes it's like, oh, you just found it on VRBO or something and it's 10% less. Or you found it on like luxury homes for rent and you can do a little bit of homework to be like, oh, that's actually a real site. But yes, one time I did rent a place and it wasn't a scam, but I did rent a place in Puerto Vallarta and like I found the owner and it was like 20 or 30% off. But the only way to pay was like to wire the owner money. And I was like, I felt like there was at least some percentage likelihood that this wasn't the owner, and I was just wiring money off into oblivion, but it turns out it was, and it all worked out.
Nice. I mean, yeah, that is something we've told our listeners before, though, that if you're ever renting something from Airbnb or VRBO and the host says, like, hey, let's do business outside of this app, that's usually a pretty big red flag, ultimately. So,
yeah.
But when you say I'm going to a different app looking for a better deal, that's not the same. That's a different category of smart.
So look, obviously you think a lot differently than other people when it comes to trying to find the angle, which is absolutely awesome. But does this play into how you approach cybersecurity or staying safe?
Yeah, I mean, we had a talk, Adam and I, on my show, All the Hacks. We both have the hacks in the podcast name. And we talked about it. And it sent me down this crazy rabbit hole of, wow, I got a lot of tips from you. And then I said, I got to go figure everything out. And so I spent hours, maybe a few dozen hours, going deeper than I had already gone. So it was like, I'd probably, locked things down pretty decently well, and then said, I'm just going to go further, and went through the rabbit hole of, removing yourself from all the data broker sites and, using the Google outdated content tool and everything. So I think my curiosity around figuring all the optimizations out has certainly played into trying to find all the ways to optimize being safe with my finances, with my family, online, all those things.
But Chris, that wasn't always the case, right? Wasn't there an issue you had with protecting your points?
Yeah, and in my research, I realized that I'd kind of mixed the stories up. I thought they were one. It turns out I've had 3, I guess, like attacks or assaults on my frequent flyer miles or credit card points in my time. So,
Over how many years?
I think the first one was in 2017, then 2019, and then I think 2020.
Now, I'm going to tell you a very fake number. I have 10 points right now. I have way more than 10 points. But anyway, don't hack me because I need them. Now, if are we talking in your case about millions of points, hundreds of thousands of points? How do you, where are you in point land?
Yes. So I guess the history of this was in 2017, it was just, a small thing. I had not been public about anything in my life about points. But in 2019, I did this interview with CNBC where I talked about how I racked up over 10 million points.
That's a number. That's a number.
Yeah.
Now, 10 million points in real dollars, because it's like a few cents a point, that's still a ton of money.
Yeah. So I track my points as like a net worth, which is, it's 6-figure net worth of points.
You're in the millions of dollars. No,
six figure. I wish.
Do you know one thing that's very true about me is I can't do math.
No, none. Bo is, if you want to get the wrong number, he's your guy.
Okay. So you have 6 figures worth of points.
No. So in 2017, it was just, I logged into my JetBlue account and I was like, I thought I had more points here. And then I looked and I was like, I definitely didn't book a ticket from Santo Domingo to Boston. And I definitely didn't book a ticket from San Juan, Puerto Rico to Orlando. And I looked down, I was like, how did this happen? Called JetBlue, and they couldn't give me a single explanation. They just said, and I looked at my email, I'd never gotten a single confirmation. My email address on the account was still my email address. So through a conversation, I came to the conclusion that somebody had called in, managed to pretend to be me, book a flight, but managed to get them to send the confirmation to someone else. So I never even knew about it. And logged in, and only 3 months later from the first flight found out, someone has actually used my points. And credit to JetBlue, they very generously refunded the points under the requirement that I change my email address. I have to use a new email address for my JetBlue account, not the one that was hacked, even though it was fairly certain, because they hadn't changed a password or done anything online, that they didn't use my email to hack it, but their requirement was change your email address. Not add extra security, not do anything, just change your email.
Not even change your password?
I guess I probably had to change my password, but I'm fairly certain that this was not done through email, because if you wanted to take over, if you had my email and password, then you should probably try to change my password and lock me out of the account or something. And I think anything you book online automatically gets sent to the person. So I don't know exactly all the details, but thank you, JetBlue, for returning those points. And that was kind of it. I hadn't thought about it until 2 years later, when it was just, a barrage of craziness.
Hey, Bo and Adam, do you know why I like to use ExpressVPN?
Why?
It gives you a little bit of extra protection. Otherwise, it's sort of like leaving your kids in line with the nearest stranger while using the restroom.
Dude, come on. Is it really that bad?
It is, yeah. You can be exposed online if you're not really protecting what you're sending and receiving online.
Okay.
That's why whenever I'm online, I use a VPN.
Every time you connect to an unencrypted network, if you're in a cafe, a hotel, airport, basically any network that's not your own, your online data it's not secured. Any hacker on the same network can gain access to and steal your personal data, passwords, financial details, you name it.
Okay, so I suppose ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between my device and the internet so that hackers can't steal my data.
That's right. Hackers can make some serious cash selling personal information on the dark web. But ExpressVPN has made it easier than ever to keep your info safe.
Just fire up the app, click one button, and you're instantly protected.
And ExpressVPN also works on all of your devices. So laptop, phone, tablet, it'll work on all of them and you can stay secure on the go.
Secure your online data today at expressvpn.com/WTH and get 3 extra months, wait for it, free.
That's expressvpn.com/WTH. expressvpn.com/WTH.
Are you that person who watches serial killer documentaries for fun?
Are you tired of girls from your high school messaging you about joining their pyramid scheme?
Not Another True Crime Podcast by Betches Media is the podcast for you. From crimes, cults, and conspiracies to scams and schemes, hosts Sarah Levine and Danny Murphy are covering true crime with a necessary dose of humor, so it's informative and fun to listen to.
Each week they pick one case and go through the facts, starting from the biography to the timelines and all the relevant updates.
Plus, they cover all the newest trending true crime documentaries and fill in the gaps with facts the filmmakers did not include. And you'll love their weekly games, including true crime trivia and breaking news headlines.
Danny and Sarah are like your two funniest friends talking about true crime. Listen to Not Another True Crime Podcast, now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
That's Not Another True Crime Podcast from Betches Media.
In 2019, about 3 days after this article came out about how I racked up over 10 million points, I was in San Diego and then my phone rings and it's like, "Hi, this is Amex. We're just trying to confirm your identity." And I was like, "Well, thank you." I was like, "No, I'm not trying to do anything." And they're like, "Are you sure? I'm on the phone with someone pretending to be you." And I was like, "Well, obviously it's not me because you have me here." You have these weird calls where they're
on the phone with me.
Where they're like, "But I the person on the other line says they're you, but they don't sound like you." And I'm like, "That's probably because they're not me." And then like 20 minutes later, I get another call from Chase and they're trying to do the same thing. And then I got a call from the actual person and was like, "Hey, this is Amex." And it was like kind of someone whose English wasn't their first language. And I was like, I know this is not Amex. I'm actually on the other line with Amex. And it was an hour or two where I was just constantly getting phone calls and trying to call back. And Amex probably called me 4 times. They're like, "Are you sure this isn't you this time?" I could kind of figure out who was Amex. And they weren't asking. Amex was not asking me for any information. Whereas the fake Amex was like, "Oh, I need your social security number and I need your password and all this stuff." But
So clearly they didn't change your phone number. If you got hacked, but they weren't able to change your phone
they
number.
were not able to change my phone number. So Amex was trying to validate that it was me by calling me because it set off a red flag there. They were like, "This doesn't seem like you." And so I was appreciative there. I got we were able to stop it, but it was just like constant all day. And I'd already at that point, I think, changed my mother's maiden name to something that isn't my mother's maiden name.
Excellent thing.
So I had done that. Later, I found out, unfortunately, that I called and I said, "Hey, here's this string." And the person on the phone, I can't remember if it was Chase or Amex, says, "Well, it doesn't really matter what the string is. I'm only going to put in the first 3 letters." So I was a little let down that the mother's maiden name security at one of the financial institutions seemingly only needed the first 3 letters. So you could have a 47-character string of numbers and letters, but they kind of cut me off and said, no, we just need the first 3.
And did any of them ever end up getting through at all, or did you manage to fend it all off?
I fended it all off. I thought I was good. And then about 9 months later in 2020, I got this, I can't remember if it was an email or a push notification that was kind of like, "Thank you for your order." And I was like, "What?" I log in and I'm like looking at Chase and it's like, someone just bought a MacBook and an iPhone using 462,000 Chase points.
No, and that was real. That was not a phishing email.
That was not a phishing email. I immediately called Chase. I didn't try to click anything. I just called Chase and said, "Hey, do you see this here?" I logged into the Chase app actually and saw the redemption, saw the points gone. So I called Chase and they said, "This seems like," I was like, "This is a scam. You should cancel this and let's figure out how we can prevent this from happening." And they were like, "We can't cancel it, but we can give you the points back." And I was like, "You don't want to, what do I do?" And they're like, "Well, it's going to get sent back to you. So you should return it, I guess." And I was like, "Okay." So I waited. The person had ordered a MacBook and iPhone to my house. It's not like they put in a different shipping address. They just were going to ship it to my house. And sure enough, like a week later, it showed up. And the way this works is Chase doesn't own a bunch of Mac computers, and they contract with this third-party service that somehow buys Macs and ships them for them, and you can't actually return it to them. And then I went to the Apple store and I said, "Hey, can I return this to you?" And they're like, No, you didn't buy it from us. You can't return it to us. And I called Chase. I said, "I can't return it anywhere." And they're like, "I guess you have to keep it. Like, we can't, I don't know what to tell you to do." So this one was like, depending on how my time I thought at the time was worth worth less than a MacBook and an iPhone for dealing with this, though. Maybe the emotional scarring of this repeated problem wasn't. But Chase kind of they were like, no, you could just keep it. Like, I got permission to keep the MacBook.
And you kept it?
Yeah. I tried.
What about the miles, though? What about
they gave them back. They gave them back.
You got the computer and the miles.
And the iPhone.
Come on, now, level with us. Was that it's a life hack you figured out?
Yeah, just put yourself out there, get scammed, hope someone buys stuff and ships it to your house, and then you keep the points and Chase will refund them. Yeah, so...
Well, but I have a question now. Who here thinks that, I mean, it obviously wasn't a brushing scam. So, like, what actually happened here? Was the criminal hoping to just porch pirate the computer, or?
That's what I'm thinking, is they were hoping that you wouldn't be paying it. You know, a box would show up at the door and, I'll get
was
it when
it
I
your
get
UPS?
it.
Maybe it was your UPS guy.
Ooh, all right.
No. Okay. So, what do you know about this, Chris? This crime? Do you know that do you know what the MO was, or?
I just know that they ordered it and they shipped it to my house, and they couldn't tell me a single thing. I couldn't even figure out. I think they said they ordered it online, so they somehow got into my account. Maybe they reset a password. I'm not sure. It was a bit strange, and Chase is strange because if you have a business card, you're required to have 2 logins. And so there is a login that I don't use much, but it's not like I use it just a standard password, right? Like I'm well past the state of using the same password for anything or anything recognizable. So I'm not quite sure how they managed to place this order or what their MO was. It didn't make any sense to me.
Did you notice anything strange? Like, for instance, while this is going on, was there anything else happening that might have impacted your identity, or was this just limited to the theft of your points?
It was just limited to this order. And of all the things you could order, I mean, I guess a MacBook's probably a pretty easy thing to resell, relatively speaking.
Have you ever looked at your credentials on Have I Been Pwned?
Yes, many things.
And how pwned?
How you doing? Yeah.
I would say...
How's it going for you?
I would say I a lot, but there was basically a period of time when I was not serious about any security, anything, and had the same password for a bunch of random sites, never for like banks or financial institutions, but just, like a bunch of things I didn't care about. And let's come back to this interesting story, because there's something that, there was an interesting scam that happened to me later.
Okay. But I'm not totally convinced. I need to hear you say the words. Bo, this Chase account was protected by a password, maybe even 2-factor authentication. There was no way that somebody hacked into the account and stole my miles.
There is no way that someone was able to do that unless Chase was willing to reset it on the phone. Like, the password was 100% not it was a 1-password generated string. So there's no way. And I didn't get SIM swapped or anything. So I don't know how they got into Chase.
All right, stick a pin in that. Tell us the rest of the story.
Let's see, I was trying to buy like an Instagram handle for my company, and I could just sense that it was like not quite, it was kind of a shady-ish person. And there was this site, I can't remember what it was called, where everybody went on to like buy and sell social media handles. And what they would do is they would like steal them and then go sell them, and then they'd steal them back.
Oh, we have a lot of experience with criminals doing that. And I guess that's...
Yes, this person was definitely that. And it was kind of funny because they had some way to steal it back. And in this whole process, one thing that happened, which really caught me off guard, was someone managed to send me a screenshot of a Google Doc that I had that at the time I believed was private, right? I don't know how you could have gotten my Google Doc unless you were in, or maybe it was a Dropbox link, but someone was looking at a doc that I had stored on either Google Drive or Dropbox, and they were trying to tell me that they'd hacked into, all my accounts.
And now was that Google Doc for sure not you never showed a link that, person who has this link can view?
Well, it was a screenshot, and I remember whatever the doc it was. I can't even remember anymore what the actual doc was. However, it was one where it was something that I shared with a few people, but I was trying to figure out what happened. I was trying to rack my brain, and I was like, gosh, this password hasn't been compromised. And I can't remember how I got the person to tell me where they found it. And they had gotten into an old Bitly account, which is a URL shortener. And that Bitly account, which I hadn't used in years, was secured by a password that has been on Have I Been Pwned. And I probably hadn't used it for maybe 5 or 6 years. Like, it was like, I didn't even know what it was. But they had basically gone and tried all the services, someone with the password, email and password on Have I Been Pwned. And when I first decided, I think it was in the first, security breach, I was like, I'm gonna change all my passwords. But at the time I had 600 passwords. And some of them were for old PHP BB forms I don't even use. It was like, do I really need to go change every password for every service out there? Or are there some where I could just leave it? And one of the ones I left it on was a URL shortener, not realizing that one of the URLs I had shortened was a link to a Dropbox file that was a PDF of a Google Doc. So they were able to show me this screenshot of a doc that I thought meant they'd gotten into my Gmail, or my Google Drive, but they hadn't. They had just gotten a URL shortener that took them to one doc. And the contents of the doc weren't the problem. It was the fact that they had access.
Well, they have stories of how financial institutions spend an absolute fortune on technology to protect the data. And then what happens is somebody forgot one server, and all of a sudden it's like they're in the bank system. So it's kind of like same thing,
Yeah, but this guy, I was trying to, for no particular reason, fight back against this guy who was trying to scam me on this Instagram account. And he had managed, I can't remember why. I don't know why. Maybe this wasn't him, but he had sent me, he was like, let me send you my driver's license photo. So he sent me a driver's license photo, matched, all of the photos that he'd posted on his Instagram handle, and the Instagram handle he was DMing me with, he had synced to his contact book. So when I had bought the handle from him, it had all of his address book in there and had every DM conversation he'd ever had. And so I think that was enough to get him to kind of stop. It had mom and grandma and all these numbers.
So he made that mistake?
Yes.
To you.
I'm looking at it right now. It's manager at PF Chang, Trenton,
Jersey guy. All right. One of our guys.
Chattahoochee High School main number, cleaning lady's phone number, Auntie California.
So, but we had a guest last week, Tara Wheeler, and she made a really good point, which was, if someone walked up to you at a supermarket and said they wanted to do this deal with you, and here's my driver's license. See, it matches you'd be like, get away from me, weirdo. It's so funny that what people do online, these, which is weird behavior, really. Here's my Chattahoochee
But it was
phone number.
What was he thinking by saying, I've been messing with you and here's stuff to prove that I am who I am. It's like, don't you want to not tell anyone who you are?
Yeah. He also had all of his DMs were so funny. There were all these messages where he was trying to scam other people before. And he was basically his scam du jour was that he would basically get a credit card and sell Domino's pizza to people. So he had this scam going where he would be like, send me $10 on Cash App and I'll send you up to $100 of Domino's pizza to your house. And
that was his scam.
That was his scam. And I've got all the DMs of him running the pizza scams.
It just proves that people are very, very resourceful.
Would he like to come on our show?
You said before that you had your Chase account compromised, or at least points taken from that one. And Chase did have a major data breach where member credentials, account numbers, social security numbers, logins, passwords, and all that were actually exfiltrated.
Wasn't that the 73 million?
Yeah, I believe
person?
so. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that was it. Bing, bang, boom.
Either that or my only other hypothesis is that, there's a list of people who it's like these people are easy targets, and then there's a list of people where we know there's gold, at the end of the rainbow. And so it's no surprise to me that a lot of this all kicked off around 2 days after an article came out talking about how many points and miles I have. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Now, as a life hack guy who's been hacked, what are we doing differently? How come you haven't been hacked as we've been on the show?
Yeah, I know. I haven't gotten any calls. I mean, I silenced my phone, so who knows?
Oh, so you
maybe we're done, and I'm getting hacked as we speak. I will say for anyone listening, though, if you have, if you put yourself out there in any way as a bunch of points, miles, dollars, whatever it is, you can also create multiple accounts. So you can have an account at an institution that has nothing in it. And then, open the other account in the name of a trust or in the name of a partner of yours or something. So,
or by an alias, but or you can just be like me and be like, I don't have anything to steal.
We got to fix that. That's a whole separate conversation. I'm going to send Bo a list of all the episodes there's like 77. I'll try to whittle it down to like the 5 or 6 ones that you should definitely listen to level up points and travel. And
we need that.
Well, I actually am I have, because of COVID, I've racked up a ton of points. And not quite in the million range, but decent 6 figures. And I don't know what to do with them. So I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of episodes. I'd say the show is like 1/3 travel. Another third is money and investing and deals and all that. And then another third's just everything, right? Like, we had an episode on how to hack the best cocktail parties, how to negotiate, things like that, finding happiness, all that good stuff. So
before we head out, what is the best security change that you've made since you and I did the show together?
I think it has to be removing my information online. I went through there's this massive list on GitHub of all of the data broker websites. I first went through all of them and manually removed everyone in our family's contact information, phone number, email, and everything. And then to see how well of a job I did, I went and signed up for Delete Me, which is a service that does it for you, to see if they found anything I didn't find.
That's Avine, right?
Yeah, Avine.
Yeah.
And they did. Now, I would say they didn't find a lot, but they did find a few data brokers that still had information of mine, and they got rid of that. So I felt good. But for me, I felt like a lot of the standard stuff, whether it's 2-factor auth and passwords, I'd kind of done all of that. I'd set up my alerts on my credit. I froze everything. The new things I learned, I'll just give you all of them because there were 3 big ones. One was deleting yourself off the internet. I had not gone through the process of doing that, and I am so glad I did. That was 1. 2, I don't know how big of a deal this is, but I found that there were 2 more credit bureaus checks in Innovis that I'd never heard of that I went and froze my credit on, which I'd only done the main 3. And then I'd never really pulled the trigger on going all in on security keys, but I have since done that primarily because YubiKey now has one that's also has NFC, so it makes it really easy to use on mobile. And so I finally went for security keys, which then let me turn on Google's advanced protection, which I was happy about. I don't know how much.
And these are physical keys?
Yeah, physical.
Nice.
These guys,
Yeah.
Now, are they multi-use keys, or is it one particular account?
These are you can use this with multiple different services. Maybe that I shouldn't be, but yes, you can enroll them in Facebook and Google. And I wish all these financial institutions would stop using only text message. I wish they would give you any kind of authentication that isn't text message. But
I think E-Trade, I remember, did that, and then they got breached.
But most of the banks do not let you set up time-based one-time passwords or anything like that. They are all authentication via your phone number, and you can't change it, which is disappointing.
Chris, thanks an awful lot for joining us. And if our listeners want to hear your podcast, I know what it is, but tell them.
Yep, it's called All the Hacks. You can get it wherever fine podcasts are hosted, probably wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. It's not all, you could have the episode I just talked about where I went deep on my conversation with Adam and then what I did after, and then everything else from points to miles to happiness to, helping you save money and enjoy life better.
Or as Bo and Travis will tell you, I will say, in particular, you want to hear the episode that I was on with Chris.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to this, I know
that was like the last thing I would say, but okay.
I just love having someone from a podcast that answers the question of our podcast title. It's what the heck? All the hacks. Yeah.
Okay, so it's time for the Tin Foil Swan.
Our paranoid takeaway that'll help keep you safe online.
So this week, I was thinking, in honor of having a life hacker on, that this is equal parts cybersecurity and life hack.
What is?
Okay, when you get a new device, especially one that's going to be on your network at home, name it according to a theme.
What? Wait, back up. When you get a what?
When you get any new device, if you get a new cell phone.
Internet of Things device.
Yeah, Internet of Things device, but even a laptop, desktop computer, cell phone, anything like that.
You name it. You're going to name it.
Yeah, you give it a name.
Rosebud.
So I'm a big fan of the Wu-Tang Clan, and so all the devices on my home network are named after Wu-Tang members. So there's RZA, Jizza, Inspector Deck, Raekwon, Capadonna, just any of those things.
I met Inspector Deck once.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted just
Wait,
listening
but
to
so,
this
okay,
list.
but I still don't get it because my computer is just named Bo's computer.
Well, there's two things that can be problematic. First of all is if you get onto someone else's network, you don't want them necessarily to know your name. So you want to make sure that it's something that you can recognize, but someone else can't necessarily.
Oh, so this is like when I go on a public network and I see that somebody has an account said, I just did your mama.
Right, exactly. So crass, but yes, that is a lot more secure than...
Apologies to all the mamas out there.
But yeah, no, if you get onto someone else's network, you don't want them to be able to see something saying like, this is Bo Friedlander's phone, or this is Bo Friedlander's laptop, because that means that they say like, oh, I know who that person is, I'm going to go after their files. So it gives you a little bit more anonymity. But also, on your own home network, if you see something that's obviously out of sequence, if you're looking at your own personal network and it's John, Paul, Ringo, George, and XV7775 or something like that, then you know that there's something on there that's out of place.
But that's the way it works. So like if you see your phone on Find My Phone, it's Method Man you're looking for?
Exactly.
It's kind of cool.
So we're not giving away any state secret.
No.
By saying that.
Not at all. But Meth, look me up if you're listening. Yeah.
Well, but I do think that it's important to say that the way that we function on this show is that Travis actually doesn't name his stuff after Wu-Tang. It's something else, but it's something as equally nerdy. No offense, Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, listen, thanks so much for listening. Great show today. We have another great show coming up next week, and we really look forward to having you join us.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating on wherever you get your audio. It really helps people find the show.
What the Hack with Adam Levin is a production of Loud Tree Media.
It's produced by Andrew Stephen, the man with two first names.
You can find us online at loudtreemedia.com and on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Adam K. Levin.